covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
Hey, welcoming everybody into the latest edition of the Inside the Walls podcast covering all things 50-yard fight. I am Zach Kyleman back in alongside my good buddy, good pal, good co-host Jim Mernier. Jim, it's been a little long.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
It's what happens when arena leagues are really no news. And to our listeners out there, our dedicated listeners out there, appreciate it. Thank you for the constant messages. Want to know where we are at and where's our new episodes. But yeah, we're almost in February and it felt like Christmas was yesterday. So hopefully everyone in the arena community, the ones who are our listeners and listen to our show, hopefully everyone had a good holidays. And now we are literally entering the month of February. A lot of teams are going to be doing a lot of pre-practices. And some leagues start in March and we start in April. So we're getting close to reporting for camp, but there's a lot of stuff we need to talk about. And we've been away for a month and we will be giving you more episodes now as the season's progressed. We just had a lot of things that we had to deal with personally as a podcast and overall for our mental state of mind. We can't get ourselves burned out when the season's about to come because that will be a burnout itself. But yeah, I'm doing fine. And I appreciate it. Thank you again for our listeners for listening to us and listening to our podcast and watching us on YouTube. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for staying patient. And, well, here we are. New episode, first time in about really a month and some change since. And we got some things to cover. You know, like I said, it'll be kind of a few things even outside the normal scope we do that we'll talk. So, you know, definitely want to stick around. Before we jump in, by the way, if you haven't followed us on social, trust me, we still do jump on there and post. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter. We do have the Instagram as well, at InWallsPod.
We'll be more active on that this year's season. We've been having requests about Instagram. That's our fault. I apologize.
I know. Instagram, whether it's this show or USFO podcast, I always have trouble. I need to get better at that one. We both are, I don't know. We'll figure it out. You and I always do. So
try.
We try. Follow us on InWallsPod, though, on all those platforms. And then if you're watching, of course, if you're watching on the YouTube version, by the way, you know, get that shiny red button right below the video, smack that. And as a good colleague of mine says, a colleague and friend of ours says, click that bell. It does build morale for us and for you guys too. Helps the show out. We much appreciate it. And we're growing that sub count. So yeah, it's good times around. And like I said, we'll be a little more busier moving forward. So don't worry. We're going to get back to regular episodes like we were doing. It is coming around the corner. So arena indoor season is almost upon us. So speaking on that, though, we might as well hit right into the meat and potatoes of this. Anything new? Well, we do have one specific thing that we were waiting on addressing this one. And I think it's just time to rip the Band-Aid off. As you guys who follow the NAL may know, the Columbus Lions, they are not with the NAL anymore. The league had announced prior that they had removed the Columbus Lions from their own ranks of teams. The Lions have put out their own press release saying that they have departed from the said NAL. Whichever way you look at it, Columbus is no more with the National Arena League. They are now an AIFA team. So I guess the main thing we need to discuss here, two things, you know, one, wow, a legacy NAL team is gone. That is shocking. Two, what is the AIFA? Not everyone knows what organization that is, but at least to start, they are much more newer on the scene than some of the other ones that are established on the deck around the country.
Yeah. The AIFA is the American Indoor Football Alliance. I think is their full name.
Yes.
They have teams that the Carolina Predators, They have the Mississippi Raiders, the Capital City Cyclones, a lot of smaller teams. more regionalized than what the NAL is. The NAL is more of a
Much more.
southeast to the north. But one thing I do know, we have friends with the Columbus organization. They are one of the organizations that opened up their doors to us, welcomed us as a podcast, gave us a lot of information and entailed. But as fans of the sport, I'll still watch Columbus. I'll still cheer for Columbus, and I think the people in the AIFA may want to realize that they're not going to be playing a team that's like them. They're going to be playing an arena team that has arena talent. And I look at that schedule. I look at a lot of these rosters of these teams. Columbus is going to bulldoze the whole league. And from a person from this point of view, and this is my opinion, this is no source or no nothing, I don't think to the fans who follow arena football, there's a gif out there of a Darius Williams, I think it is, for the LA Rams that says, I think we ain't done yet. Keep an eye on Columbus. I don't think they're done, meaning they're not going to be in that league for long. I'm not saying they'll return to the NAL. I just say me personally, that organization's too proud to play in that league. And that organization, people we know, I think they will push that team once they get everything situated, which I know they will. I think they have a bright future ahead of them in the NAL, in the IFL, in the CIF, whoever wants to go. But right now, for where they're at and where they need to be at, the AIFA is a great place. And I know that ownership group is very confident and they're going to proceed. And I think they're going to dominate that league. They should. They're the Columbus Lions. They almost dominate the NAL every year.
Oh,
almost.
Yes. Without a doubt. I mean, but almost, yes, of course.
If I didn't say almost, we'll get a message from Manas like, what do you guys say again? We know, Manas, we know. But yeah, they almost dominate it.
They almost. But no, they're the respectable organization, one of the longest running in the country in terms of, that this sector of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And this is stuff we really can't even get into with the whole split between the league and the Lions themselves. But, the circumstances probably could have been better is the best I can put it. This is probably the best case scenario for both of them. And just that, Columbus doesn't have to they aren't folding, that they get to play. So
Correct.
Fans in Columbus, Georgia, at least still have to get their team, and keep in mind, they used to be, and you'll know this more than I, Jim. I mean, they used to be a lower level team before the NAL formed. So, they were a dominant powerhouse in the lower level arena and indoor scene. So them and the Sharks were the two main players that formed the NAL in the first place.
And the ownership group, Casey, Josh Blair, I think they're going to have I think it's from a standpoint, they know how to win championships. They almost did it multiple times in the NAL, just fell short multiple times. They're going to own the AIFA. There's no team in there. Maybe Mississippi, maybe will give them a challenge. But that's like saying that, how can you say the New York Streets had a chance to beat Columbus in the championship game if New York Streets ever even made the playoffs in the NAL. So, but right now, like when we find out all the story here in the podcast, and I'm going to promise you, the listeners out there, the story of Columbus will be out. We have to get approval from the Columbus Lions. But we will eventually get the story out so everyone knows what's happened. We know what happened. We just don't want to say it because we have too much respect for Columbus and the NAL. We don't want to get their business out in there. But in due time, you will find out what happened, how it happened, and the reasons the two split. This is not pointing no fingers at anybody. For the best for both entities involved, this was the best path to do it, even though it was such a shocker that random. Was it not Christmas Eve? It was right before Christmas, wasn't it? Like 2 days before Christmas?
Yeah, it was obviously it's like coming into December here.
Yeah. It was literally like the week of Christmas.
I know that. I'll tell you real quick. It's Sometimes some of it's still blur on the exact day. So one second here, because like I said, I want to make sure we get that right. Get that right. We're here. So yes, so that was 3 days before Christmas
Yeah.
that news dropped.
And of course, me and Zach and a bunch of people behind the scenes here inside the walls were preparing for a marathon of shows in January and February. We had plans on going to Columbus for the kickoff of the NAL between San Antonio and the Lions at one point. That will be scaled back. We might do maybe a meetup somewhere later in the middle of the season where schedules work for both me and Zach. Possibly he comes to Jacksonville, or we'll go somewhere like Carolina or somewhere, meet halfway, something like that. But that'll be in the future. But yeah, when that news hit, it sent shockwaves in the community, especially in the NEL and in the arena community, and the people you saw on the boards and on Twitter, especially some of the toxic boards on Twitter, on Facebook. We know the main one. If you're tired of that toxic environment, ladies and gentlemen, go visit our Discord at In the Walls Pod. We're not toxic. We give you the facts, information, correct information, and sources, and little nuggets around the league that happens.
Good times on there too.
Yeah.
Good little
Yeah.
crew we got on that Discord.
And we troll each other, friendly, bad memes. But there is a certain message board that a lot of NAL fans go to, where fans attack people who know what's going on, but we can't really tell you what's going on, but we're the enemy. It's just don't read everything on NAL board that thinks it's factual. Yeah. Even sometimes the owners will post something there and they're not 100% accurate because it's just their opinion, not the whole league's overall opinion or what the situation happened. But yeah, it's tough. The reason why we've been gone so time is because we were trying to figure out what to do talk about Columbus or how we were going to approach the season, because we had so much preseason stuff planned up to that kickoff in Columbus. So that gave us a setback. We'll rearrange a couple of things. But overall, if you want information about the National Arena League, anything that does with indoor arena league, our Discord is a great place to go to. We talk about a lot of leagues. Have a friendly, chat. But right now, there are a lot of false narratives being spread around the NAL boards about Columbus and the NAL. I can tell you right now, from a person who's read all those posts, it's 99.9% inaccurate. That 0.01 that's accurate, it's not 100% accurate either. Yeah, it's close, but it's not right. But all the other stuff about the reason why Columbus left the NAL is because of, the NAL wants to expand. Like, I saw rumors about they want to get rid of Columbus because they want to bring in IFL teams. Like, what are you doing? No,
it's amazing what you can find.
It's like that chat board just throws stuff on the walls. Like, it's going to stick. No, it's not. And what happens? Those people message us. Is this right? Do you know this information? What's going on? And we have our normal listeners that message us all constantly. We're thankful. And we have to tell them, like, no, that's inaccurate. Don't believe in that. If we don't say anything about it, it's not legit. Like, when the Columbus departed / NAL let the Columbus go, we couldn't say anything about it because we didn't know 100% factual what's happening. Because we were getting one thing and someone else is telling us another thing. You were like, what's going on? Then NAL made an announcement. Then we said something. We do not report on rumors. We report on facts. We might speculate. Like, there will be a new segment at the end of the show called the Speculation Zone, which we're still in from the USFL podcast, but still speculation. We'll talk about something there at the end of the show that, makes me happy and possibly make you happy because we love the sport. But it's sad that Columbus has left. We're going to miss him. I'm going to miss that rivalry between Columbus and Jacksonville. I really am. But I am also pretty happy that they left, and Jacksonville holds the controlling series lead. So therefore, we won the rivalry series. But nah. But again, I think me as a fan, me as a person who loves the sport, this is not the end of Columbus. They will somehow be back in a top tier league. Don't know which one, but I guarantee you there could be a chance where we'll see them again. Especially the Sharks, especially the Empire, especially all the teams. There's a chance, but right now they're in the AIFA, and I think they're going to dominate. They're going to win that championship, and I'll be proud of them. I'll buy T-shirts. I may even go to the championship game to support them because I love that organization. I love their fans. They were all the Columbus fans I've talked to, very nice. People who message us, respect the ownership group. They were completely genuine, and I can't like go piss off. You're not in the NAL anymore. Goodbye. I can't be that person. So you might get Columbus talk throughout the year. It's just FYI because I have so much respect for that organization.
Yeah, they'll get to move on their direction. The NAL gets to go their way, and everyone. This was one of the better scenarios in this case. It could, like I said, closures are so common like that. So this is
especially
honestly
in this industry.
Yes, that's very ideal. Got to give
But
that props.
on the bright side of it all, when teams do move leagues, most of them fold instantly. They don't go to a new league. They just we're going to this league, and they never appear. Columbus is legit there. They're selling tickets. Same number, ladies and gentlemen. Go find them. The website's active. Go buy your tickets. Go buy your merch. They have a merch store. They're still active. Go support them still. Who cares? They're still NAL members to me. They're still an NAL family to me because of that fan base and that organization. So treat them like that. So, yes, we're not going to disregard them on this show here on out. But, yeah, it's tough. But, it's the way of the game. We see in other leagues like over in the IFL, especially us in NAL and the IFL, the the Louisville Extreme. Yeah, not the LA Extreme. That's XFL, old school XFL. But the Louisville Extreme, that's the type of team that switch leagues, and when we're going to be back next year, they completely fold. Columbus is not that. They have the financial backing. And they have an ownership group that won't allow them to close up shop. But to Josh, to Casey, to Aiden with the epic documentary, I bid you adieu from the National Arena League. And from a Jacksonville Sharks fan to you, murder everyone in that league. You are the superior team. You are the superior organization. They bow to you now. Get that trophy. And hopefully one day we get the rivalry renewed between Jacksonville and Columbus. So speaking of the National Arena League, it was kind of unique because we were going to record this show yesterday when this show is aired on a Friday afternoon. We were supposed to record the show on a Wednesday. Luckily, we didn't because the revamped schedule has been dropped in the National Arena League. And again, it is what ticks me off sometimes about schedule changes is we saw this last year, but in the opposite. Last year, we had 14-game season for 2 teams. And the other 5 teams in the league, the other 4 teams in the league had 12 teams. Mm-hmm. This year, 5 teams have 14 games and 2 teams have 12 games. Again, another off-balance schedule. Does it benefit San Antonio? Does it benefit Orlando? Maybe, maybe not, because it didn't benefit Jacksonville and Carolina last year. Having 14 games it actually hurt them overall in the overall standings.
It tires your players out. That's the thing.
Correct.
You want to have healthier bodies at the end of the season.
But we do have built-in bye weeks this time around. Jacksonville has 3. Carolina has 3. And, of course, Orlando and San Antonio both have 4 games. Week 1 starts on April 8th with the Mustangs traveling to the Predators, the Jacksonville Sharks, heading out west to West Texas, and the Cobras and Gunslingers battle in San Antonio. Playoffs begin August 5th, and the NAL Championship game followed on August 18th. Maybe the 12th But right now we're doing 18th compared to what it's the 2-week barrier or the 2-week off week between the first round and the championship game. You can see this schedule in its entirety on nationalarenaleague.com. It has every single games. Games are, again, they do fluctuate. We do have Saturdays, we do have some Fridays, we do have some Sundays, but majority of the games are played on Saturday. And what I liked from what I've seen so far is that the teams that play out west, West Texas and San Antonio, majority of their games are 8 o'clock Eastern time, while, of course, Eastern games would be at 7 o'clock Eastern time. There's occasional Sundays, and the Sunday ones, we have 2 Sunday games. We have Sunday night football, ladies and gentlemen, in Arena, which is very rare,
Wow.
a Sunday night football game. We have actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 Sunday night football games, 1 Sunday afternoon game at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, that's definitely a bit more of a jump. I think even more so than the original schedule.
Yes. We have opening weekend, of course, is all Saturdays, and week 2 again is all it's 2 Saturdays, 2 Saturday night games, and then you have Sunday night football, April 16th, Orlando Predators at the Albany Empire, the first Sunday night football. So hopefully can we get Carrie Underwood doing something? Ooh, Sunday night for that game to kick off the Albany Empire's home schedule, which will be the banner game as they lift their second banner of in the NAL history and their third banner overall for the Albany Empire. There's some other, we'll later break down marquee matchups that we think throughout the season. Again, a lot of these teams are still signing players. Of course, as everyone knows, the XFL, USFL are getting a lot of the players. A lot of the players are in NAL are still trying to pursue an XFL, USFL career. Mm-hmm. If they can't, they usually will come. They'll find a home here. Again, you got to remember there are CIF and IFL too, so there's a lot more opportunity. So there's still a lot more talent there. A lot of teams still don't have a quarterback. Some teams do. Jacksonville, again, still looking for a quarterback. Orlando still looking for a quarterback. But right now, you got Sunday night football, which I thought I'd like. You got some Saturday night games as usual. Got a couple of Fridays mixed in. We actually have a week, which I absolutely adore, is week 4 of this season. Jacksonville is home against the Predators on a Friday night, 7 o'clock. Saturday night, you have Fayetteville at West Texas, and then Sunday night, you have Albany at Carolina. So you'll get exactly 3 games on 3 separate days.
Hopefully, hopefully maximizes the viewership too. You know, kind of have talked in the past about staggering out games if possible. Of course, venue restrictions always come up, but if you can do it, that's the ideal way of doing it with how few teams you got in the league at the moment.
And I keep telling people, especially on our chats and especially on message boards, NAL teams are tenants of these arenas. They are not owners. They don't own the arena. Very few cases where the arena team owns their own building. Those are usually AFL, back in the AFL days, where Tampa Bay, the owner of Tampa Bay Storm, owned the Lightning and the building. So Tampa, schedule will be working out different that way. But very, very, very few slim cases. Maybe Jacksonville and Arizona are the only 2 that can come up in my mind that actually have some weight in their own building. When, it's Arizona playing, they can get that day. And they'll move a concert or they move something around that day because they know those 2 teams will put fans in the stands no matter what. But the schedule does do that for a lot of teams. Now, there are some interesting schedule tidbits. The Orlando Predators have a stretch of 6 weeks where they do not play in Amway.
Wow.
And then they are home for 4 of a 5 game stretch with a bye week in the middle right after that. So you're away for 6 weeks and you're home for 4 of the 5. That's kind of harsh. Again, also, the San Antonio Gunslingers actually have a stretch of games where they're on the road for 5. Let me recheck so I get the information correct. The San Antonio Gunslingers are on the road for 6 weeks as well. From week 2 to they're week 2, and they don't get a home game until week 8.
They won't have a game. Yeah, I mean that's another one too. Start the season with Freeman, but then you got to wait all the way until late May at that.
It's like deja vu from last season.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, granted, it'll be a heck of a homestand, and if they're in a good spot honestly, with the roster they built this year, if they're in a good spot coming out of that road stretch, they're going to be set up pretty well in prime position for at least trying to clinch that first playoff spot in their franchise history, but also could be higher up. Because I mean, you and I have been predicting they should be one of the better, if not top teams in the league this season.
Right now, in my opinion, them and Albany are the 2 teams playing for a championship based on roster. And I guarantee Albany people, Dave and other people who message us all the time, it's like, oh, the reason why you stay in San Antonio is because you got Jonathan Payne. Yeah, they got Jonathan Payne, and their roster got better. So they literally got they're pretty solid. But in my opinion, Albany is still the team to beat. They're back-to-back champions. They are the team to beat. And right now, if the season ended today, they'll be the 1 seed. And also, there's one thing that if you're listening to the show on our Spotify or any podcast platform, you're not missing anything on the screen, by the way. This season, the members of Inside the Walls podcast, Zach, myself, Justin, and a friend of ours, Dukan, and Mason Espinoza will do voting for our top 25. Yeah, you heard me. Top 25 ranking. We are actually going to do a ranking of all the arena football teams or indoor, or whatever. And we'll have it. Of course, we'll do the power rankings for the NAL, but we decided to do the rankings because we believe that the indoor game of all of its entities deserves respect. And a little trash talk between the leagues would be pretty cool too. But right now, for overall right now, Albany currently right now, my opinion, and this may piss off a lot of people, they are currently the best team in all arena football. They are the number 1 team. I think they're better than the IFL champions right now, and I still think
I can hear some folks in the desert screaming very loudly right now.
Well, yeah, you can say that, but again, Albany dominated all year last year. They had couple slips up early. Some fat white guy down Jacksonville called them out, and all of a sudden they just started beating everyone behind and to win the championships. It's facts.
I miss this.
I'm speaking facts, man.
Well, no. What's funnier is it still kills me because you're talking that spitting of what you're doing leads to you getting infamy in the arena as part of the hype video for
the championship
NAL
game,
championship last season. Still one of my favorite moments all time, like covering Alton Spring football, is going, oh, that's Jim's voice over the Jumbotron PA system. Oh, I see what they're doing here.
Yeah. It's funny that my voice is in their arena, but I have yet to hear mine in my arena, and I go to every home game.
Dear God.
I'm just saying. But still. But yeah, we're doing that this year. So when you see the rankings, we're gonna have one solid ranking where top 25. You know how the AP does the votes and the points. We'll show you who had got the most points, went on, going on. We'll do our respect. We have Mason again on this year. That brings some insight for when we talk season ball. And okay, everyone knows Justin. That guy has so many connections in the IFL. It's crazy. And Dukan, who is the master of masters. He is the source of arena news, is that dude. He'll be on the show too this season. So we're going to give you guys a lot of stuff this season. And of course, we're going to talk about NAL, talk about the arena game. And we have stuff planned that's pretty cool. And so We're just not going to tick off Albany fans. We're going to tick off Northern Arizona. We're going to tick off Omaha. We're going to tick off some Picketttville arena team that plays in some Fargo
Watch
Dome.
Watch out.
But no, it's something that we want to do. We've been approached by a lot of people from different leagues and different fan bases. Like, you guys need to do this. We love your content. Do this or this. We're going to do it. We're going to help you guys out because you guys deserve it too. But speaking of the NAL, sorry about that tangent, but that's coming to preseason, and we'll give our preseason poll here about maybe a couple weeks before the season. The season starts March. All the leagues start in March, so March 1st is where our first preseason poll will drop. How highly inaccurate that will be, but still,
yes.
But yeah, that'll happen later in the year. But overall, even though the season has gone and the little segments of the new schedule is dropped, 14 games for 5 teams, 12 games for 2 teams. Does it benefit Orlando and San Antonio? Maybe, because they'll get extra rest. San Antonio possibly because they're the only team that has a bye week 17. So if they're in the playoffs as a 1 seed or a 2 seed or even a 3 seed, they're going to have that, what the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles enjoyed in the NFL playoffs, that lovely bye week before the postseason. So that could benefit San Antonio, again, that bye before they played in the first round of the playoffs. It gives them rest. But also, you look at Jacksonville, like Jacksonville's schedule is killer. You finish the season with Albany plus at home Albany and then at Carolina. That's a stretch there. Then you look at Albany, they finished with Fayetteville. Questions about Fayetteville. We know they have Cato. We know they have good signings with Kendrick Ings and so forth. So you look at those teams, you don't know how these teams are going to be at week 1. Again, week 1, week 2 team could be completely different from week 15 and week 16. But again, if you want to ask, 14 to 12 game schedule, top 4 teams make the postseason. There were rumors of an expanded playoffs this year. That was coming from one of my sources. Then the other source said that was thrown out the window because they cannot count on stadium/venues to be available for certain arenas.
And that was what I was wondering too, was, with how some of the priorities are for teams in certain venues, it's hard, I think, to try and do that on the fly if you have to. So yeah, I mean, plus honestly, you have 7. I mean, stick with the 4. I'll be honest with you. Unless it benefits the teams to play the extra game and you're bringing in enough revenue to do that, no point in adding that extra strain on you for that time.
Yeah, again, rumor. No, it wasn't factual.
Oh, sure. I mean, and again, this is me analyzing that rumor. If it were to have happened to come, it never did. But
no, like the CIF has 8 teams, 6 teams make the playoffs. The IFL has 14 teams and 8 teams make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a little more reasonable, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's that they can do that. They have enough teams to do it. But the rumor that was here, I forgot who sent me the message. Someone from Carolina said they were talking about a 5-team playoff, where you have a wild card game where you have the 1, 2, and 3 seed have buys, and the 2, 4A, 4B playing a wild card game.
Sounds kind of like half the. It's almost like you're playing like half like the MLB playoffs in a way, where you're doing the play-in game.
Yeah,
like that's what that is. That's a play-in game at that point.
Yeah, that was thrown out there. A 16 was thrown out there, and I heard one rumor coming out of Albany, saying that there was a potential of all 7 making the team, all 7 make the playoffs, and the 1 seed gets to bye. So everyone makes it, and that's because they didn't know if they were going to get a full schedule in. So that's if they had like a 12 or 13 game, but that was rumors. It was some like a lot of speculation, a lot of talk, like chat on the boards, but nothing really factual, nothing from the league that told me that this is what's going to happen. But 14 playoff was always the main go-to because that's what should happen. And honestly, with how this league is right now, I think it's going to be a very heated battle for a top 2 spot. who gets the top 2 spot. And if you're San Antonio, go get that number 1 seed because you get the benefit of having a bye week before the playoffs. That can be literally your bye week, like how NFL does their bye weeks for the playoffs. But the schedule's out. It's I feel like how college football is too, and NFL is. Okay, the NFL season's over, Super Bowl's over. What's next? A combine. What's after that? The schedule's released. What's after that? Free agency. What's after that? The draft. Mini camps, training camp. Bam. In the NAL, it's schedule, free agency, schedule. Then you get past the Super Bowl, and you're like, okay, March hits, training camp. Then football in April. So we got one more month of non-action, and then we're going to have solid training camp stuff. I'm going to try to get a hold and let you guys get a hold. We're going to try and get people on the scenes in some of these areas for camp, like interview like some Twitter guys who follow the team, possibly reporters for the teams to get on the show, talk about San Antonio, West Texas, and all. Try and give you guys a lot of information for your teams. And we'll start getting as we get close to the season comes to an end, or as we come to an end to start the season, we'll have Team Pacific episodes. We might be doing 2 teams per episode. So first 30 minutes, first hour, whatever we're going to do. May have 2 releases each week. We'll talk about each. We'll talk about each team, and we'll give Albany Empire its own episode. Defending champions. It will be the final week before the regular season. We'll have Manas on the show. We'll have Sam Castronova on the show, and maybe Nick Nag again to preview the upcoming season for the Empire entering the 2023 season. Seeing they already became the first team to go back to back. Can they become the first team to go back to back in NAL for championship? So new update schedule will be posted up later in a couple of weeks, maybe this weekend, for the new schedule. We will try to get players from these teams, talk to coaches as the season gets closer to break down what's going on, what some of the updates, promotions, and all. We'll send it your way as well, and that part. So schedule's here. So now it's, can we get to February? And after February or March, training camp starts in March. A lot of the other arena leagues start in March too. So arena football is literally just around the corner. People get excited for March Madness. People get excited about March Madness, bro. I've always been a football fan. I've always loved football. And I know I'm excited that the NFL, my Jaguars made a good run. I'm very proud of my Jags. Super Bowl is in 2 weeks. After the Super Bowl, we got the XFL for about 6 weeks for the XFL. Then we may get the whole XFL season end before the start of the NAL. So we'll have some XFL stuff, and possibly those XFL players might come to NAL when their time comes to an end in the XFL. So we'll have football. And when I hit me, Zach, James Larson, Stefan, Raycheck, the people of the XFL or the people in the newsroom, us, we have a saying, ladies and gentlemen: football season never ends.
It doesn't.
So when people say, "Oh, football season's over," BS, because there'll be football on ABC, ESPN, Fox. What else?
It never does. You can start at. I'm not no joke. Once the Super Bowl week hits, you watch the Super Bowl. That's the first of essentially all 360, at least all 53, 52 weeks worth of the year. You will find a game at least on once a week.
There are only 2 weekends that there's no football: Pro Bowl weekend and the weekend right after the NAL championship. Because right after the NAL championship, you're in between the All-Star game, preseason football of the NFL, if you count that. If not, you have 1 week until the kickoff of the NFL season. Those are the only 2 weekends without football. So when you hear people, there's no the football season's over. No, football season's still here. You got XFL, USFL, NAL, IFL, CIF, all that this offseason. A lot of great talent. So as much as you guys love your, Joe Burrows, Trevor Lawrence's in the world, give the guys in the lower leagues, the other leagues, some credit. because you got some studs, Brian Scott in the USFL, XFL, XFL. You're gonna have any like. There's a couple cats in XFL. Some of the
Yeah, I mean, geez, you got Kyle Sloter, my guy Drew Plitz over in the
yeah.
XFL.
You get
Former Ball State player right there. Chirp, chirp.
You got former Cobra, Joe Powell, who became the first person to return a kickoff in the XFL.
He's back over there.
You got Luis
Justin Alexander's
Perez
over the Brahmas.
Yeah,
so.
and then you got Cardell Jones is returning in the IFL, and you got Sam Castronova in the NAL. You got stars everywhere. It's just not NFL. It's everywhere. And we'll cover as much as we can. There's so much action, of course. Little side bit, newsroom, sports, all the action for XFL, USFL, arena leagues, all there. Go check it out. Because we love football and we're here all year and we cover it. So we love it. I know Zach does USFL podcasts. And of course, this one Inside the Walls, we do anything in arena. So speaking of arena and speaking of veterans,
right.
There are a couple of big time free agent signings in the National Arena League. A couple of these guys made some noise over the year. Kenny Veal, Prince Shinola, excuse me. Where did I get Shatola from? Shatola.
You're thinking.
Oh, I'm thinking of Steve Shatola from the Sharks. There we go. Oh my
Hi,
God.
Steve.
Hi, Steve. Wow. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Kenny Veal, Prince Shatola, Sean Lockett. Shatola again. Yeah, Zach, Shinola. You just do it.
Kenny Veal, who's going to the Cobras. Prince Shinola, who's going to be returning to the Preds after kind of a spell over in the IFL and also had been in the XFL draft pool. Sean Lockett, who was once with the Albany Empire. He's now with the West Texas Warbirds. And, of course, the kicker extraordinaire Mark Orozco returning back with the Empire. That was a massive signing to see come across the transaction wire. Yeah, some pretty good quality ones. I'll be honest with you, Orozco's the one that I think if you're an Albany fan, you got to be thrilled. Lockett was one, I think, overall out of these that I think is awesome for the NAL as a whole to see back in its ecosystem. Dude was a mauler for the Empire a few years back. Went over to the Massachusetts Pirates for a spell and in the IFL. And now he's going to the Warbirds, who are trying to gear up and be competitive, being the new kids on the block in the NAL, along with, of course, Fayetteville. But, I mean, they're trying to go up level. They need talent like Sean Lockett's. He will do an excellent job anchoring both sides of the ball, at least based on his position title right now, which is implying he is going to be playing two sides, unless this is it was inaccurately placed in for the transaction wire.
Well, can we trust the transaction wire? It always says, he's going to be dual position.
It's 50-50. It's 50-50 sometimes.
But again, you get 3 specialists this year. So
true. Very true. And to me, he could easily fit that lineman specialist on the offensive side of the ball. He is that good at center to where you could say, you know what, screw it. You're playing only that spot. And we only need you there. And then Kerry Starks can go on the other side, and he can, he's most likely going to be that line defensive specialist on the edge.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't do it I wouldn't change that up. I'd do it like that. Unless they want to be running back, which, hey, to each their own. But he's a terror on the edge, so I'd keep him there.
And also, you look at the Cobra side of things. You have an NAL first teamer coming back, and Kenny Veal.
Yeah, returning to the Cobras too.
Yeah, returning to the Cobras. Marco Orozco, he made clutch kicks last year. Also had an incident earlier in the year that caused a little bit of a scuffle between Columbus and Albany. That turned out to be just a scuffle because Albany still did Albany things and won. But Orozco was a clutch kicker that helped him win championship, hit a crucial deuce in the first round playoff game against Jacksonville, where it was back and forth between them and Jacksonville and Albany. It was a crucial deuce that broke the back of the Jacksonville Sharks. They made them go to the championship game, honestly. And
sealed the deal on that game, really.
Yeah. And of course, Prince, he has been he started in Orlando, shined in Orlando, and then he left and went to, I want to say, the San Diego Strike Force last year.
Yes.
and went to the XFL, and he's coming back. So Orlando always had his rights. So if he came back to the NAL, we've been going to Orlando no matter what. So Orlando secretly has the best wide receiver group, in my opinion.
They have the most load. I mean, Rob Jones was added on to pretty
Yeah.
recently,
They got Rob Jones, you got Lonnie Outlaw, you got Prince Nola,
Larry Beavers is back.
Larry Beavers, Dangerfield down there too.
Yeah, Dangerfield signed on too. They have a really sneaky, like they have a really loaded talent pool.
They're a quarterback away of being a legit contender.
Mm-hmm. They're reloading on defense again.
Yes, they got Maxwell, Alford.
Yeah, Maxwell's coming back. You got Fuentes, who's going to be back and healthy this year, by the way, too. Randall, he's back as well. They should be a sneaky good team, but like you said, I think the questions will remain on can whoever you bring in for QB fill that position consistently. I think that's the thing. Consistently produce. Now, I mean, Rakeem Cato, I thought was on that path, but there were spells, and now he's over in Fayetteville. He gets another shot with a decent setup over in Fayetteville, but can they produce on that angle with all that receiving talent? To be determined. Still a little bit of the offseason to go, but time is kind of running out at this point. Rosters are starting to kind of fill up for training camp coming around the corner.
Pretty loaded. We'll find out. We're just waiting for the big drop of a QB that could be announced hopefully soon. But again, we're a couple of weeks away before we actually report the camp. But yeah, those are the big signings so far in the NAR since we last recorded. So with that, let's set the mood if I can.
Ooh, the mood.
Like I said, we're doing a unique thing in our episodes. Gotta love StreamYard. You can actually do stuff like this.
Oh yeah.
So the new segment we're doing is the Speculation Zone, which is from my boys over at the USFL podcast. Just borrowing. And with that, we do not, again, Speculation Zone, we do not have facts. This is rumors. We don't report on rumors, and we also like to indulge. It's just speculate. We're speculating here. That's all we're doing. So, new life on the AFL social media accounts. Comeback to come? Are you saying that there's a comeback for the AFL? The league that I fell in love with 20 some odd years ago?
Is there a chance?
They better not be toying with me, bro. Better not be toying with me.
Well, look, to specify what we're talking about, so the AFL, the official accounts, so if you haven't been noticing, logos have changed back to the golden era logo from the 2000s all the way up to the 2019 season. The standard shield with the football, with the quarterback throwing a football. You know what I'm talking about. It's reverted back. The website on the bios has changed to theafl.com. Backgrounds are changing, and to put the cherry on top, as you are seeing on screen, if you're watching, they posted for the first time in some time, hashtag new profile pic, basically highlighting, hey, this has changed. Now, it got a lot of traction, had some people confused, and others that were saying, oh my God, it's back. Look, here's the deal, you need a little bit more. I mean, if this is indeed it, which, hey, there's been rumblings of the AFL returning now, basically since it went under in 2019. I need to see a press release or something get dropped here in the near future. Because if you go to the AFL.com website, they claim 2024, which, okay, I hope this is real, because if that is the case, Speculation Zone announcement better be coming out pretty soon, like within the next month or two. You're running out of time. You better have a lot done in the background if this is real. And we need to know what is behind this, if it's funded, who's backing it. Is this a legitimate AFL? Not a skinned version of a league. It needs to be a legitimate AFL. The big boy. Not any small fries, if you know what I'm talking about.
Well, if this is the AFL returning, the AFL, the main one,
event.
It is the most recognizable arena game of arena football. It is what the IFL, CIF, NIL, AFIA, AFA, the list goes on, want to be. They want to be the AFL. The AFL is the senior, the El Jefe is the game.
Yes.
It literally has a championship called the Arena Bowl, a legit trophy, which a couple teams have won. Albany has won one. Jacksonville has won one. Arizona has won one. Iowa, I think, has won one. So it's a sport. It's a league that we know. If this legit is the AFL, and we've seen rumors, we've heard rumblings of who's behind it. Is it funded by a group of people? Is it funded by a entity? Does it have a TV backing? Does it have literally something that if you're an owner of an organization outside of this new AFL, just throw in some, let's say, like I mentioned before, Columbus maybe. It's history, tradition of Columbus, the longest reigning standing franchise in arena football, besides the Arizona Rattlers are the second one, or they were in the NAL. Let's just say the AFL has a TV backing, probably let's say ESPN Plus, maybe ESPN or something like that. A organization like Columbus be like, hey, why not? Let's try it. You got history, you got tradition, possibly. But again, we have seen leagues form. We have seen leagues like the AFA or the AAL, right? The American Arena League or something. I think it's called.
The AAL, which is trying to make a comeback. It's basically AAL2. But you get the point.
Yeah,
you get the point.
They rose and fell. Now they rose and launching a secondary brand, but not the original brand. So which it's different. But if this is the AFL, and this is the league that can bring back teams like the Tampa Bay Storm, the Grand Rapids Rampage, the New York Dragons, the Spokane Shock, the Colorado Crush, the San Jose SaberCats, the Dallas Vigilantes, or the Dallas Desperados, like when my colleague said here off air, doesn't care what type of Dallas team it is, they're going to be just like the Cowboys, win a lot of regular season games and choke in the playoffs. But but when you said that, I was like, oh, wow, that's funny. Yeah, you're right about that. But I'm just going to say, if they're being more active, their website is updated. Apparently, there was meetings in Vegas last year about this. Their social media accounts have all switched over to the new logo and have been updated. The banners have been white and updated with generic colors.
Their Twitter actually is wiped of all old posts, by the way. So like that tribute video from when it closed down, that's not there anymore. So the only post on Twitter now is hashtag new profile pic.
Yeah.
That's it. Facebook still has some old stuff like dating back from 2018, but there's some posts that are missing from what I can tell. They've been cleaning things up. Whoever's running this. So
and we know it's legit, and we know there's someone behind there doing stuff on Twitter because they followed Inside the Walls. The Arena Football League follows Inside the Walls. So if that's just them trolling us, that's toying with my fancy. But there is too much activity happening on these social media platforms for we're just updating the logo that just let's sit. In my opinion, there's something coming. Don't know when, don't know how, but the rumblings I've heard, and with the rumblings you've heard, they just need to come out and say it, because the more and more it drags on, the more speculation the speculation zone gets, and we're just literally just throwing things on the walls like, hope it sticks, hope it sticks, hope it sticks.
That's all I want is just, if whoever's messing with this, like, hey, look, if you're real, do it. If not, toying with my emotions never makes me happy. So
We both experienced that. Yeah, I know what you're
But I
talking
mean, yeah, I
about.
mean, look, I keep getting told the same with rumors. Like, there's something there. I just want to see what it is. Like, okay, show me what's behind the curtain.
Correct.
Is it the Wizard of Oz type of story, or are we talking like The Price is Right, or sorry, are we talking Let's Make a Deal where you get the
Yeah.
right deal? That's what I'm looking at right now.
This is why I want to mention. Are we getting the XFL 2.0, which was perfectly brought up, perfectly hyped, took a couple years, was sustainable, was going to succeed until the values that should not be name struck? Or is it the XFL now, which has been very blasé, a lot of questions everywhere, still a lot of questions now, and a couple of teams are playing in venues that don't deserve to have football fields? That's the question. Are we being treated to the 2.0 relaunch? Or are we going to be given the 3.0, well, we're going to have football, enjoy it type of idea? I don't know. I just know one thing. The term from a famous movie, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
They will come.
And from people I've talked to, just not my team, other teams I've talked to, people in other leagues, if they build it, they will come. Just for me as a fan, it's a lot of hype, a lot of rumors. Where there's smoke, there's fire. In my case, I'm not looking at a fire. I'm looking at a forest fire. Because the rumor is hot. It's hotter than hot. This is where I need to go get the Fifth Element, Chris Tuckett. Corbin, my man. It's hotter than hot. It's hot, hot, hot. I should have, but but yes, if the social media, how it is right now, the activity they have had, if this is one man just trolling people because he's trolling people, we have been duped like all dupes. But people I've talked to, the people you've talked to, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll stay patient, but I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm staying patient, but don't toy me with my favorite football league. Don't toy me.
And that's part of it. And I think that's, look, a lot of folks, here's how I interpret this, and it could be different for everybody. When the AFL collapsed and went to official Chapter 7 bankruptcy back, in 2019, I think a lot of people just moved on and we're basically saying, okay, this is an empty void. Let's wait and see who takes the void, or takes over that void. Like the IFL, the NAL, and all that, the CIF. And I mean, there's been, I think, movement. I think there's some that have gravitated. They picked the IFL. There's definitely your NAL sector, the CIF guys.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong at all. I think it's just that, okay, if it's real, you have to jump in and you have to be legit. And like I said, I hope to hear something soon, because again, that website's claiming 2024 right on the front page. Gotta hear something before the 1 year mark officially, if that's the case.
And at the 1 year mark, if it's based off the old AFL.
And even then, I need to hear like a lot if it's the 1 year mark, because that means that you have to have done a lot in secret. Otherwise, if you have stuff to do in 1 year, I'm like, okay, I'll follow along and play and watch what's going on. But
for what I want, if they do make this announcement, let's say within the next couple of weeks, whenever they do it, they need to do it before the 1 year mark. They have to already have either a few teams already signing with them for the 2024, or they have, they make it known like, this is our goal, this is what we were going to do, this is what we're going to be. And basically like trying to, how can I say, bring back the arena family. Like if they come back saying if they come back and we're the AFL, but you're giving me AFA quality action, no, that's a disgrace to the AFL name. If you come back as the AFL from 2010, from the heyday in the 90s, then yes, you will get the traditional teams back. You will get the traditional teams, expansion teams pop up again with the traditional names. There's a gold mine. When people said spring football cannot exist, we have how many leagues now in spring football succeeding? The USFL is going to their second year. NAL is going their 6th year. IFL is going their 12th year, I think. Spring football can't succeed. And what has happened when AFL left, these leagues sprung up to fill its mold. But like I said, there's a term. If you build it, they will come. There's also another term. If you come at the king, you better not miss. That's another term that the AFL, even though it does not exist now, it will and always be the king of arena football because it is the Arena Football League. Even though how much I love the National Arena League, the reason why I love the Arena League is because of my first love. That was the Arena Football League. Even though I'm a diehard Jacksonville Shark fan, my first fandom was the Orlando Predators of the Arena Football League. So the great people in the past, Frederick Bonner, Eddie Brown, Aaron Garcia, Clint Dozell, and the list goes on and on. All the stars who played in the old AFL, they were stars there. They came down to the IFL, the CIF, and the NAL to help these leagues create new stars. But the AFL will always be the league. Give me the AFL of the heyday. Give me 16 teams. Give me a legit playoff system. Give me TV contracts where I can watch Sunday Night Football on NBC, arena football style. Give me those. Give me the 90s back. I know we all get old.
Yeah, that's a tough. You're saying 90s. I'm thinking like, man, I mean, if you're talking glory days, that's 2000s.
That's an AFL on NBC, bro. Come on, that was some good stuff.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying, like, hey, I just, if it is there, I just want it there. But no, I'm with you. Like, look, you have to separate yourself from what the current class is.
Correct.
Otherwise, you're the current class.
Correct.
That's what the AFL branding is. It's bigger than that.
There's no Net 10 wireless up in here anymore, bro.
No. Oh no, go to Boost. You'll call it
Boost Mobile, yeah.
But
this day and age, I think would be Mint though, right? With the one with
I mean, Mint works
Ryan
too.
Reynolds.
It's any of the like lower leagues, like cricket. You can do cricket.
Yeah, it'd be like
something like that. I don't know.
The AFL on NBC presented by Mint Mobile, and you have Deadpool coming.
Actually, now I think about it, Boost is owned by Amazon, so there, get Jeff Bezos dollars on your side.
We wish.
Jeff,
but anyways,
Jeff, you don't want to buy the Commanders. You want to buy the AFL.
Yeah. Okay. That's yeah. Amazon money. Sometimes you don't want to get too big. Then all of a sudden we'll have teams. We'll have teams in Europe that like don't even know football having arena leagues. Come on, they're not going to start being the NFL. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was our new segment, the Speculation Zone. We'll try to do one each and every week. If news does drop anywhere in the National Arena League, or if our first love makes big news drop, we will do a special show talking about the news of that. Again, you can follow us on Twitter and on Facebook at NWallsPod. You can follow us on YouTube at NWallsPod. I forgot to add that in the diagram. I do apologize for that. I know we've been gone for a while, but if Zach agrees, you want to do this next week, bro, and get this thing started?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, sure. Let's do another one. I mean, I feel like we owe our fans another episode anyway.
Yeah, we kind of been gone for a month.
Yeah, let's do it next week. We'll get another one next week.
All right.
I like that idea.
Well, I am Jim Bernier. That is Zach Kallman. This is Inside the Walls Podcast, episode 81.
Wow.
So anything new happened? Well, we just went over a few things, and next week, hopefully, we have more in-depth analysis of the National Arena League and maybe other news around the college. Well, not college. Okay. Yeah, we're going to the NCAA right now, where we're going to have Colgate take on Oral Roberts in a classic college game.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah. That's still one of the most epic rivalry names. Oral Roberts and Colgate. It's like, that's great advertisement right there. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, again, I am Jim Renier. That is Zach Kallman. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back for episode 82 next week. Same time on a lovely Friday. Be safe. Be well. We'll see you next week.
Covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight.